We got this one from NDTV. I see this story popping up all over the place. Man tests positive for MERS coronavirus in Abu Dhabi, says World Health Organization. A 28-year-old man has tested positive for a potentially fatal Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome coronavirus. Now, here's the thing. MERS has been around for a while, right? They say, what is it? It's been recorded in 27 countries since 2012. Over the time, 2,605 cases and 936 associated deaths have been reported. Here's what I want to say about this. A lot of people are suggesting this could be the catalyst for another lockdown as elections are looming. I don't think so. MERS has been around before. It doesn't spread like COVID did. COVID was novel, but they're calling it MERS-CoV. That's the freaky thing. That's what I'm seeing a bunch of these stories do, because now they're associating MERS with COVID.
Yeah.
That could be a political catalyst for giving the government power to do whatever they want.
I think I saw there was a 25% death. It kills like 30% of the people it infects. 36%. So that's nothing like COVID. That's something where like you get it, you either survive it or you die. And it's not really that. I don't know how transmissible it is.
1 in 3.
Sorry, Dave, were you about to say something?
No. It just sounds like they added 3 letters to MERS.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Because now they're associating the pandemic, the lockdown, the sickness with something that they can say has a 36% mortality rate, despite the fact it does not spread nearly as horrifically, but could be enough for politicians to say, hey, MERS-COVID is here. We need lockdowns. We need mail-in voting. The mortality rate is 36%. Oh, boy, here we go again.
Yeah, I do feel like they feel like COVID has worn out. You know, they've been saying for a while they had all the variants, and at a certain point they were like, seems like people aren't going to stay at home no matter what. And now we have the malaria outbreaks, which malaria can be really serious, but it is interesting that it almost at times, if I'm cynical, feels like they're just trying to test out what will scare you enough to go home.
Oh, I think they are, though. I mean, and with this, I don't think you can have another COVID lockdown because everybody's just going to go, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that at all.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Do you think they will?
Some people maybe, but I
don't think the majority would.
They're still calling for it. You still have prominent liberal personas on
Peter
Twitter
Hotez
saying, didn't he just put out? He put it out just recently, like we got to lock down again.
I'll quote him. Yeah, he said something like that.
Yeah, he's the worst.
Professor Peter Hotez, MD,
to be
PhD.
fair, he's terrible.
Yeah, didn't he write a book called Vaccines Didn't Give My Daughter's Autism? I Did from Junk Food by Peter Hotez?
He was like gleefully telling Joe Rogan that he feeds his autistic daughter junk food.
Yeah.
Like, that's
like in blame. It's insane. That guy he's just worthless.
But wasn't he just saying recently something about like I'm looking at his Twitter. I can't find it.
But let's not forget. It was the post Barbie. In this post Barbie world, let's not forget. I'm nervous about COVID.
Because everyone's going to the movies. So he was like, "Oh, but no one's masking anymore. No one's doing tests anymore." I think that was the tweet, right?
Yeah, it was something like that.
The movies are so popular, we have to worry about another rise in COVID, basically.
Which is also like a typical like, don't go have fun. I'm holier than you for noticed this. I'm protecting you all with my great ideas.
You have anonymous sex apps, and we're worried about people going to the movies. It's absurd. Go to the movies. Bring a wipe if you want with you. But haven't we already proven that putting on a mask with dirty fingers isn't going to help you all that much?
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know. Especially like...
Are we allowed to say that? Or
you're thrown off 100%. Yeah, if you're rebreathing like fecal matter in your mask,
or
it's
like,
about as
where do you carry your
gets.
mask? You put it in your bag or your coat pocket. Like, that thing's gross.
Well, here's a tweet. Let me pull
dirty underwear. It's the same. Sorry.
No. I just want to pull the tweet. Peter Hotez said, not to be a Debbie Downer, but anyone worried about a post-Barbie box office COVID bump or post-Oppie, we'll probably never know since no one seems to be keeping track of such things anymore. Keep up with your boosters and find a pink N95 or KN95 if you can. And he's just talking about the box office for these two movies. Now, I don't know if that really matters, but I do want to stress, this is my point. These people are still calling for these things to happen again. There were a lot of places where people did not follow the protocols.
Yeah, I didn't.
But there were a lot of places that did to an extreme degree.
Absolutely.
And there was enforcement of these things to ridiculous degrees. So I don't think it's an issue of whether people want or don't want something because they let it happen in the first place. And local cops and sheriff's department went and arrested cafe owners and salon owners. The cops will do as they're told.
A lot of those things are hard once they get started. They're easier to stop from happening. Once it gets rolling, then you're like, especially as a cop, you're like, well, God, they already put it into place. Now I've got to kind of do my job and enforce the dumb rule that got put into place. But if you don't let them put the rule into place in the first place.
But they also had, though, a lot of cops, though, that knew business owners that were like, you know what, you don't have to build your restaurant outside. It's fine. You have a speakeasy now. I mean, there were a lot of places in this country who didn't deal with it. You know, I mean, you can't, I guess legally you can't say that or have a statistic on it.
Speakeasies existed in Prohibition.
Of
right?
course.
And there were cops who would look the other way and things like that. But
I'm not saying it was the majority, unfortunately. You are right.
I think what happens is the fragmentation of community and the family, and partly due to the internet. What do they do in New Jersey with Attila's gym? They brought the local cops didn't do what the city wanted. So they got cops from a different suburban town to come in and enforce the law. Here's the crazy thing about all that. Why would any community accept external police coming into their community to enforce rules their community does not agree with? Is the crazy thing, but is the proof to what I'm talking about.
Yep, irrational fear.
They had to bring in state troopers into New York because a lot of NYPD guys didn't want to enforce these rules, like shut down bars and stuff. So they bring in a different agency. Now, I can understand the hierarchy of law enforcement. State police have different jurisdiction. Mm-hmm. They have more jurisdiction. But the idea that there are two cities, let's call it city, town, and town city, Cityville and the village of cities, town, whatever. And one city's like, we want to force everyone in their homes, but they're refusing and the cops won't enforce it. Let's bring in cops from a different town. Why would anyone in the community be like, we certainly respect this police department with no jurisdiction in our town? But they did. That's the point.
Yes, they did. I guess my point is, how do we continue making a living in this country? How do we not keep everybody from going completely impoverished? How do we keep any brick and mortar business going, any restaurant running, anything really working that's not just a giant corporation where you work in a warehouse, wearing a mask all day, sweating to death? I mean, really, what's the end game? I mean, it does go at a lot of this X stuff we were talking about and going into that sort of bleak future, but why wouldn't we fight against that?
I think that question is a good question for Peter Hotez and people like Peter Hotez that made tons of money and became super well known during the pandemic because of the pandemic. Like that guy has everything to gain from seeing another pandemic the way he made out during COVID.
Of course.
Without it, he becomes irrelevant. Yeah.
Yep. Think about how many people are sitting there thinking, all these doctors, they're like, oh man, Fauci's not on TV anymore, right?
Well, no. Once people found him to be a slight bit shady, they had to finally, kind of push him to the side.
MSNBC didn't push him to the side for being shady.
Well, no, they don't care.
They held big umbrellas with his face on it and twirled around on, what was it, Jimmy Kimmel or something, or Colbert or whatever?
Oh, yeah, the dancing needles.
He did get booted from TV because he was shady, because COVID's not relevant anymore, so they don't need him. People like that, they salivate at the idea of locking down again because it keeps them in the news and it gives them power. It's creepy.
Of course, they love power.
Yeah.
That's what a large part of it is power. And that's the problem is if you're supposed to be somebody who's out there protecting the public and all you do is hurt people, why would anybody believe you anymore? I don't understand the logic. Now, I do agree people are dumb. Not even dumb. They're scared, and they are definitely going to believe things, and they're going to be gullible, and they're going to do anything to protect their families. But how much more evidence do you need that didn't work?
I have a theory with Fauci. I think that he really believed he was helping people and he was being used by the pharmaceutical industry to sell pharma drugs for profit. And they're like, let's just find a guy that's obsessed with public health. Because I try to picture Fauci being in a back room being like, we're going to make so much money on this. But I just don't see it. And that's why people liked him, the amount of people that did, because he truly believed what he was saying. Like, they're going to help you. You're going to get the thing. It's going to be great. You're going to be fine. Wear 2 masks. And everyone's like, he believes it, so I believe him.
Isn't he the highest paid government employee, though?
He was.
He was. He was making tons of money. He has the biggest pension, or maybe not anymore. But to me, it's hard to believe that this guy isn't aware of money, especially when he signed up to do a documentary with Disney. I mean, like...
Yeah, when he's like, hey, I made AIDS worse, and I throw like a girl.
There is a desire to have attention and be famous there. I think the desire to be compensated and paid is part of that.
Yeah, it's almost irrelevant to muse about what his intentions were. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll never know.
But he did make a lot of money, I would imagine, during the pandemic.
Unless he comes on the show.
And he became that would be awesome.
Well, and they were pumping out that documentary while they're like, the human trafficking one, just keep that one shelved.
Yeah,
but let's make sure everybody finds out about how great Fauci is.
Just recently?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see it. What's it called?
The Sound of Freedom.
Oh, I was talking about the Fauci doc.
Oh, no, there was the one on Disney+.
Oh.
Yeah, they shelved Sound of Freedom. And now it's a sleeper hit.
Yep.
Makes 125 million so far.
Yeah.
Thank
I figured
you.
knew about
Numbers-
that.
numbers-
I don't know
Is
why
That
you answered your
QAnon
question
movie?
like
I don't
an
know what you
idiot.
guys are talking about.
And now what the smear from the left is, these outlets, is that no one's actually seeing the movie. That in reality, they're just paying for tickets, but no one actually is seeing it.
Well, you
Yeah,
can pay it
that's
forward.
Such a lie.
They're so desperate. That's like a terrible argument.
You can literally buy tickets from scanning at the end of the movie, and people are buying them. So let's say they're not, then people are still buying those tickets.
I bought $1,000 worth of them just to give them away with
Yeah.
their pay it forward thing.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.